Hey YouTube, Aiden / just Aiden here talking about my Bach LT16M or Bill Watrous model of trombone. He actually didn't play one of these. He played a really old, I think, New York Bach 16 that had been modified with a single bore 508, 509 slide. Can't remember which Bach uses. It's light, obviously, the light slide. And he had an open neck pipe, which is different than the stock model. So he had a horn that was similar to this, but also one that was made in like the 40s. So probably a lot better in a lot of ways, a lot different. This is just what Bach came up with to approximate what Bill played for his entire life. Or most of it anyway. I just wanted to give you guys an update. I've been playing this a bunch. In preparation, I'm going to be playing this a lot in the future, or at least a horn like it. We'll see. I've made a couple changes, so I find this to play a lot better with a counterweight only because of balance. I think it probably plays a little differently, maybe a little better with a counterweight off, but I literally can't play it without the counterweight. So there's that. I'm really used to back-heavy horns. Basses are obviously very back-heavy. And when they're back-heavy, your wrist doesn't have to do anything to hold the horn this way. It has to hold it up this way, but not like an angular thing. The horn just kind of rests like this. And I'm really used to that. So with a counterweight, this is actually not quite balanced still, but it's much closer to this. I basically can't play horns that don't have a counterweight or have an F attachment or something. So I'm definitely using this. I also got a Neotech grip. I had one of these already. It came with my Greenhouse 62H, but it disappeared. I literally used it for a couple of rehearsals, and then I went to a rehearsal for an opera that I was playing, and I used that horn, played it with the grip, and when I got home, or when I got the horn out of the case the next day, I didn't have this, the actual grip part of it. I only had the part attached to the trombone. I must have left it. When I put the horn away in the case, I must have left it somewhere. Kind of mad about that because I literally got to use it like 3 times and then I lost it. And so I had just a little bit of experience with it. Horns like this don't really work with the Get-A-Grip, the Sheridan Get-A-Grip that I use on everything else, because that's really designed to be used with F attachments. It's not really designed to have a brace right here. It just doesn't really work with horns this size. At least in my experience. The 2 grips that I have really don't work on horns like this. And my leather strap, I'd have to get another one for this because I'd constantly have to resize it for bass trombone or this. And I don't know, I think it would just not be super great. So I got the Neotech grip. I have a few friends that play small bores with a grip like this. And so far, I like it. It's actually pretty comfortable, but it changes the spot in which you hold your horn. So usually, your hand is flush against the brace, right? It's right here. There we go, that's a better angle. It's all the way against this. And so that's just kind of where you hold the horn. When you put this on, it raises that point by like a ½ inch almost to right here. So your hand is more towards the middle of the trombone than this side of the trombone. And for me, that's just different enough that it's kind of hurting my wrist. I need to find a better way to adjust this. There's lots of ways to adjust it. I'm just not totally sold on it yet. If I play a lot of high register stuff where you have to use just a little bit of bicep to get a little more pressure, my wrist starts to really hurt because it's having to do some weird stuff to hold up the horn. So not totally sold on that yet. This horn has a lot of quirks. The LT16M is really known for being just kind of weird. The lead pipe that Bill had put in all these is really short. It's like this long, which is really short. Usually a small bore pipe probably goes down to here instead of up here, which means the slotting, the space between partials is really close. So you can just kind of go, which is good and bad if you play lots of stuff like Bill Watrous does and you just kind of go all over the horn. Great. If you try to play normal music all the time and you're not used to that and you play other instruments that have slotting that's totally different, it's not as great, right? Personally, the slotting is not that big of an issue for me because on bass trombone, I play dual bore with Thayers with a large mouthpiece. my slotting is already kind of like that. It's pretty wide. I can go big distance on the partials. For instance, lip bends on this are really easy. I can just kind of go everywhere. On some smaller horns, that's actually pretty difficult. And that's good and bad. That means you can just kind of land in a position and be out of tune because you can not aim correctly with your chops. That's not a big deal for me. I can just kind of deal with it, adjust, kind of get to know the horn better. But it does have some tuning quirks. So the biggest one for me is that high B flat is flat. Not a note that I expect to be flat. Of course, I just missed a tuning B flat. So that feels really good right there. That slots really well for me. It feels great. I can play it really loud. I can play it soft. I can articulate it. But it's like 10 cents flat. I can get it in tune. You can hear how far I can bend that in either direction. Most horns, without moving the slide, you can't really change a high B flat like that. There's not a slot. The slot is this big, and if you miss it, you kind of just don't play the note. You don't get to move it. And the slot, the natural slot for that B flat, it's just a little low. I've had a couple other people play it. It's not just me playing flat because I play bass trombone. It's just a little low. So that's kind of a weird quirk that's not super great if you just want to play a soaring line up to a high B flat, and then you land on it and it's just low. That's not a good note to be low on. And I think the high C also just a little bit low. And that partial doesn't feel quite as good. The thing about this is the upper range is really good. Like all the slots are really well defined. They're not like very slotty, you don't just get stuck in them, but they have a spot where it actually resonates. The horn feels really good. On my Con 6H, I could not do slide vibrato on high C sharp. I can actually do that. I don't lose the slot. I don't lose the sound. It sounds really good to me. It has like a core to it, even that high. So the horn really is pretty good, but I think I might get this lead pipe pulled, have something else put in. We'll see. There's just a little update on my quirky LT16M. If you can get your hands on one, I would play it first, obviously. See if you like it. It's very different. The King 3B is the same size as this, kind of a medium large or medium small bore, 508, 509. The King 3B is totally different. It has a bigger bell. The 3B has an 8-inch bell. This has a 7.5. Otherwise, the dimensions are pretty much the same, but wow, they are completely different horns. And I think this sounds a little better. And the 3B probably is a little easier to play. Catch you guys next time. It's been good.